All right, welcome to another edition of Last Newsdesk on the Left. We were not successful last week. I think I'm MacPaladin. I don't know. I'm starting to have imposter syndrome.
Oh, are we sure we're on air?
It says the red button that says end stream is up, so
okay.
I have high hopes.
Okay, let's make
we're on the air.
More than I had going into this election.
Let's just make sure of that. All right,
yeah. So yeah, recounts, votes, and oh my god, what the fuck? Let's start off with the roundtable. Adam.
Hello.
You're supposed to speak more than that. I'm not doing introductions anymore. They seem to jinx us.
No, I'm just making sure everyone else gets introduced or whatever. But yeah. I mean, look, the last 24 hours have been pretty consumed by what you'd expect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, first of all, considering that the possibility is really likely now that Georgia might flip, I want to say thank you. You're welcome, America.
I'm sorry I was a failure.
You were going to do that too.
Yes, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it big. And I also want to say, hey, we got plenty of hotel rooms in Atlanta for you this Christmas. Come on down. We're going to need you for these double runoffs right here. Welcome to Atlanta where the players play.
Flashing, $100 bills and shit.
That's right. Mm-hmm. That's right.
I know how the game works.
I was really hoping for an absolute blowout to make this an absolute referendum on.
Yeah, but it looks like as of right now, the possibility does still exist that we might get 300 electoral votes. It's not 400. We might get 300, but you know what? At worst comes to worst, we're still going to beat them.
Yeah, but that still means it's 4 less than Trump got after faithless electors.
That's not going to be a problem, okay? That's just not. It's not going to be a problem. But
I'm just
look,
saying, I'm very disappointed about that.
We all wanted it. We all wanted a quick knockout. That just didn't happen because we underestimated a lot of things.
Well, we know Hillary won't be faithless in her electoral votes. That's more of a Bill thing.
It is going to be the greatest vote she will ever make. She is going to feel so... It's poetic justice. And by the way, y'all should apologize to her because she ran a damn good campaign, it turns out.
Yeah.
It turns out because, she managed to... She Biden got more white voters. She lost some Hispanic voters. She lost some white voters. She got Hispanic voters. It's basically, there's more white people in this country, so obviously a better white campaign would win. But it's not like she had a terrible campaign, it turns out, at the end of the day. Because at least that election was quick.
Well, there were less mail-ins to worry about.
Well, that's true.
They were less COVID.
That's true. That's all true. But still, it's like, at least we were able to go to bed and cry.
Yep.
If you could sleep.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I'll take the 2018 result over the 2016 result. Because, quite frankly, that's how this played out. Early defeats offset by ultimate victory. It's like Vince McMahon is programming this election, only better booked.
Yeah, which is ironic if you think about it.
Yeah.
Donald Trump.
Yeah, I know he's a huge Trump ally and all that shit, but I'm like, a wrestling storyline is a wrestling storyline. And good God, this fucking election was a wrestling storyline, wasn't it?
It really was.
Well, at least Trump's heel turn was met with boos.
Met with the middle finger, if you remember. You saw that picture?
Mm-hmm.
These went down. Sorry, go ahead.
In what universe was Trump ever a fucking face?
Well, yeah. Well,
he's
Even in the
definitely
actual wrestling storyline, he was the heel.
yeah, he was. Yeah, he was a heel in the wrestling storyline. He was basically a heel in real life, even going back to the early '90s.
This is like this is like this argument I was having with a conservative on Facebook. I said, yes, that's definitely a argument. That's been my stock response to anybody who says something completely asinine to me, is that instead of actually arguing their points, they'll be like, yes, that's definitely a perspective.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually the best insult you can hurl at this point, is because it's like nobody gives a fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever babbling bullshit and puking pablum that you have to share with me, that's definitely a take. I'm not saying it's a valid take. It's just a take. I'm also enjoying the fact that there's a certain symmetry to the fact that Martha McSally is going to lose spectacularly again.
Even if, the possibility is real that Arizona turns blue for the first time since 1996, which, by the way, let me note for the record, was only 30,000 in that 1996 election. So if you see it go down and drop from where it's like in the 70,000s right now to, oh my God, it's 20,000. Wait, what? Just Clinton won it by 30 in 96. So don't take that as anything like frightening.
I'm not worried about that. I'm just loving the fact that
right. But at the same time, yes.
Can I speak?
Keep going. Sorry.
I'm just loving the fact that McSally has made a consistent record of losing every Senate race she's ever been.
She has done the unthinkable.
Considering the fact that she lost to a attractive blonde bisexual in a pencil skirt, and has now lost to it, and has now, I'm going to say officially, lost to a bald astronaut.
Blast off, baby.
Yeah.
Blast off. Get out. You have
also
destroyed. She has destroyed the Arizona Republican Party. Because, and Doug Ducey, you're next.
Well, he's out of it anyway. He's termed out. He can't run again for governor anyway.
Well, there you go.
He's already had 2 terms as governor. And
he's probably thinking he's lucky stars.
Well, that's why he's making all these asinine decisions. There's nothing else he can do.
Mm-hmm. It's like,
or as we like to call him, Governor Douchey.
Yeah, but also at the same time, he's going to be leaving while the Republican Party of Arizona goes completely mental now. You know who's running that party?
Yeah.
Dr. Kelly Ward, who is a
wingnut.
Yes, wing of wingnut. So.
Holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's just a lot of poetic symmetry going on today.
Yeah, it's just like we're basically right now, just waiting. They're just waiting for Pennsylvania to flip to Biden completely, and then they're probably going to call it because it's just like a rolling train.
Yeah.
The slow moving train, and then once it gets blue, probably very shortly afterward, they're going to start calling it because there's no way back.
Yeah.
And once that's the case, that's a wrap. We don't need to worry about Arizona. We don't need to worry about Nevada. We don't need to worry about Georgia. They'd be bonuses because that's the ball game. It's like just win, baby. Just win, baby.
Yeah, it's not quite 2008, but I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, look, Barack Obama, let's face it, was a once-in-a-lifetime politician that we're never going to see the likes of again. Let's be very perfectly clear about that. He was a once-in-a-lifetime politician.
I'm hoping we can say the same about Trump as well.
Yeah.
Really? Really? You want to call him a politician?
Yeah. I think we're just have to say these 4 years happened.
Yeah.
We are never, ever going to erase the stench from us. All we could do is just build off of it, rebuild. It's basically like a tornado hit this country for 4 years.
You say that now, but I heard so many people were going to say that about the fucking Bush Jr. era, and time has.
No. What I'm saying is that there was a big tornado that tore through this country for 4 years, and then after that, we rebuilt. We pretty much we rebuilt. We rebuilt everything up. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's a lost cause. I'm saying that, everything's torn up apart. We rebuilt things up.
I suppose how do I put this? I don't want to put this in a positive light, but I will say that giving us an unsatisfying victory makes sure complacency doesn't return.
Nope.
Because that was a real fucking problem in 2010.
Yeah. Although
we did all the work, so now we can rest.
Yeah, fucking rest. The work's just beginning.
Yeah,
that's what I was saying. But that's what everybody acted like. They're like, "Woo, we got change now, so now we can just sit back and run on autopilot."
Yep.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because we still got a Senate to really retake, among other things. We have a newly Trumpified Supreme Court to deal with.
Yeah, we'll deal with that over time.
Yeah. We still have a couple of states to make, and so on and so forth. Now, there's a lot to be done.
Oh, speaking of states, did we ever see anything about Puerto Rico, if it still wants to become a state or not?
Statehood won.
Yes.
Statehood won. And I do think that this could be actually something that's bipartisan. DC might be messy. I think Puerto Rico actually could be bipartisan.
Could be.
Because if you notice, the pro-Republican candidate, if I recall correctly, is the one who won the governorship of Puerto Rico. So the thing about Puerto Rico is that there are Republicans as well as Democrats. It's not a blue paradise like, say, DC.
Mm-hmm.
It would arguably probably be a swing state.
It's very
to be quite frank. It would be a swing state. So I think for Republicans, I don't think I would be automatically against Puerto Rican statehood like you are with DC statehood. I get DC, why you hate DC becoming a state, because, black people. But
wow.
No, come on. Let's be fair. They call Washington, D.C. Chocolate City for a reason.
Damn.
Okay? That's what they call it.
That was the thing that was now just said on the air.
Yeah.
Yes, I said it. And I don't apologize for it. But anyway, but yeah, Puerto Rico would be a swing state because there are Republicans in there. There are conservatives in Puerto Rico. And if I were a Republican, I would use that as an opportunity to at least get one senator to split, at the very least, maybe get both, but get at least a split of the senators out, and maybe the congressperson from Puerto Rico to be a Republican. So, if I were a Republican, I would not automatically go, reflexively against Puerto Rico becoming a state. DC, maybe. I don't know where that's. I don't think that's going to be a thing. But Puerto Rico, I do think can become a state. I mean, if I were a Republican, and considering the fact that basically the reason why you came just this close to winning this year is because of a larger turnout among the Hispanic population, I would not look that gift horse in the mouth, and I would take this opportunity to make Puerto Rico a state and work with the Democrats on that. Do I think that'll be the case? No.
I kind of have mixed feelings on DC. Like, it's bad that those people don't have representation, but I also kind of see the idea of...
See, what I think the plan is that they're going to keep, like, the actual federal area as a separate thing from the rest of Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
That's what the plan is because you have to have that federal area completely split out, but also at the same time, people actually live in Washington, D.C. that aren't federal employees.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I used to live in Northern Virginia, which was it's basically like an hour or so away from D.C. When you go into D.C., there's the monuments and the Smithsonian's and all that type of stuff, but then you drive deeper into D.C. and you see basically the real D.C. Not the ones with the with the historic buildings and everything else, but basically the homes, think of any urban city in America. New York, Chicago, stuff like that. It's basically that. You have small businesses, you have, row houses, so on and so forth. So that's real DC. There's two different DCs. There's the DC that you see from like the Smithsonian's and the monuments and the Nationals and all that, and the real DC. There's two different things. The real DC wants to become a state because there's like 200, 300,000 people, which is more than a number of states in this country.
Looking at you, Wyoming.
Yeah, I'm not certain. I'm not
not
certain after this census if Maine is still going to have two Congress people.
We'll see about that.
People got tired of eating frozen lobster.
Well, no, Maine it does not have very high of a population, and it's growing very slowly.
Holy! By the way, the difference right now in Georgia, Biden is only down 16,000 votes.
Oh, fuck. They're still going through Democratic strongholds, aren't they?
Fulton County.
Rest in peace, Trumpy.
Trump got 5,683 votes to Biden's 22,118. A net gain of 16,435.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like
Atlanta is showing up.
Yes.
You're welcome, America. Again, you are welcome, America.
Also, America, I'd like to apologize for the state of Missouri. Fucking
You can
idiots.
never apologize enough.
No shit, we kept the fucking psychopath governor and fucking decided Trump was a good idea.
Yeah, I'm not super happy about Susan Collins, I gotta say.
I mean,
Florida is Florida. I don't think I have to say more about that.
And there seems to be no help in
Florida
Kentucky.
man strikes again.
You got one. I'll give Florida one more chance in 2022. If it's still red after that, I'm done with Florida. I don't care. Me personally. Let me disclaimer that.
Could fall into the Keys.
Well, not specifically Florida itself, but more like the Panhandle outside of Jacksonville and Miami-Dade.
Yeah. So
Just slide right
I
into the
guess
ocean.
speaking of Florida, we didn't just have presidential races, the race and the Senate races. We had a bunch of propositions on the ballots, various ballots.
Mary
like
Jane's
here,
going to pass in Arizona.
Mm-hmm. I believe
Oregon
5.
decriminalized possession.
Yes, they. Yeah,
Not
they.
possession of anything, just possession.
Yeah,
Yes, basically,
So
smoke
ghosts.
anything if you got
I
it.
ain't afraid of no ghosts.
Well, no,
in
possession
marijuana.
of any drug.
Yeah,
Yeah.
smoke anything if you got it.
small
Okay,
amount.
including
but
on
yeah.
tires. We don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I'm like, Oregon has decriminalized the possession of not just marijuana, but stuff like cocaine, heroin, and magic mushrooms.
Well, considering all the so-called militias that are up there, I think people need to smoke them if they got them.
Yeah, they need more. They need more psychedelics and less amphetamine.
Yeah,
No.
just take mushrooms like DC.
Yeah. Here in Florida, the new Amendment 4 failed fairly miserably. This was the Republicans' recrimination against the Amendment 4. The whole.
Basically, this was the Republican version.
Yeah, which is ballot initiatives needed to take 2 elections to take effect. Didn't get 60%, so it failed. But more distressingly, they added to the Florida Constitution. I think this was Amendment 5. you need to be a citizen to vote.
Ooh,
Yeah, that's probably going to get challenged. Let's see, Louisiana's Amendment 1, which is the right to abortion is not guaranteed by the Louisiana Constitution. That passed. A similar initiative in Colorado failed. But I suppose the big one, the one that people are talking about, if they are talking about it, outside of the Oregon one, is the Proposition 22 of California.
I just brought that up. Yep.
Yep.
It means a lot to me as an Uber driver.
Yeah. Well, what are your thoughts on it as an Uber driver?
I was curious to see, because on the eve of the election, Uber and Lyft relented and said they were going to go ahead and work with the law and stay in California, and then they won.
Yep.
Apparently big.
Yeah. Which is not a surprise if you paid attention to the polls. Well,
because AB5 was actually not popular. And it was presented with a very, if you don't like it, fuck you, neener, which is probably the least liberal position I've ever seen taken on that. It was proposed as pro-worker and pro-union, and it basically canceled 500,000 gig economy workers in California in the middle of the fucking pandemic.
Yeah, they probably would like those jobs right now.
So wait, which went what way?
Prop 22, the reversal of Assembly Bill 5 in California, the one that redefined gig economy workers as employees and not independent contractors.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my take on this, and I've said this online, so I feel confident saying it here. Normally, I would be pro-unions, but in this particular case, I've been against the taxi cab unions for a very long time because they have a fucking scam going on. The way that they work is they make you lease or buy an $80,000 to $120,000 medallion that you must display in your vehicle.
Yeah.
Let's not get into the expense of wrapping your car to match Yellow Cab or VIP or whomever they were stealing business from.
By the way, this is the thing that Michael Cohen went to jail for. The taxi medallion scandal.
Medallions, yeah.
Yeah. So they make the bar to entry for taxi cab drivers impossible if you end up having to lease it all, because obviously no average person in this country can afford to actually become an independent contractor or a taxi cab, because the bar to entry is something like $250,000. Okay. If you end up going to the cab company and leasing the cab and renting off of their medallion, basically, you make less than 20% of the fares, which were always artificially inflated to defray all of that cost anyway. So, and people were becoming less and less trusting of taxi cabs because the employees / contractors who opted to do that were so miserable that they inflicted that bad customer service onto all of the riders. So, 2011 rolls around. Uber becomes a thing. A couple of years later, Lyft becomes a thing. And all of a sudden, the taxi cab unions and the taxi cab companies are pissed off because, hey, these guys are undercutting our market share and we're losing all this revenue. Well, fuck you, bitch. That's capitalism. That's how this shit works. So yeah, they were crying the blues and making crocodile tears about all of this stuff about how, the workers and that. This is like ADM or Monsanto rolling up in front of Congress with all these fat dudes wearing flannel shirts and John Deere tractor hats that are actually on their payroll, claiming, look at how canceling these subsidies will affect the independent farmers. I mean, just look at all these guys. It's like, who was actually behind AB5? And it was, I guarantee you, it was not the gig economy workers, because I live in Arizona. I live in an area that is not super densely populated. I make more than $30 an hour doing what I do. What the fuck are you assholes in California doing that you can't make a living? with higher rates and higher population density, how in the fuck are you not making at least $30 to $50 an hour driving for Uber and Lyft? Everyone's like, oh, but car maintenance and this and that and the other thing. It's like, look, dummy fucks.
I mean, you guys basically live in like two of the biggest cities in America.
Well, I mean, bottom line is this. It's like, listen, fucks, that's how businesses work. There was actually a guy on one of the forums who was like, so, you know, does that mean that Uber and Lyft is going to now compensate me for idle time? And I'm like, listen, Jagoff, this is how hourly works, okay? If you do $0 1 hour and $6 the next hour and $280 in the third hour and then $50 in the last hour, your total take is 336.
Whatever those things added up are divided by the number of hours.
I had to do some math here. $336 total. And it's like, but I didn't make anything for that first hour. It's like, listen, fuckface, you take your total and you divide it by 4, and that's how you calculate your hourly rate. It's like these people are literally like, well, if I make $0 1 hour and a whole bunch of money the next hour, well, there's just no way to calculate that number. And I'm like, you moron failed 4th grade math. You are the deplorables.
Well, this is like my fucking dad apparently doesn't understand how taxes work.
And then if Trump gets impeached, and then Nancy Pelosi becomes president, and then she appoints Hillary as vice president, and then she steps aside, and Hillary magically gets 4 years. It's the same kind of I failed everything. It's the same kind of I failed everything mentality. I didn't go to school. I don't know nothing. I apparently went there.
Do what?
You okay there, Twilight?
Yeah.
I'm just listening to Mac here. The sort of thing that I encounter around here as well.
So you're having war flashbacks. Okay.
Yeah, basically.
Do tell, Twilight. Do tell.
I'm just responding to something on Discord, so it just derailed my train of thought long enough for Twilight to exhale. He was holding it all in. He was just like...
Feral screaming intensifies.
Intensity intensifies.
I live in the rural part of Kentucky, the really, really rural part. I encounter these kind of idiots almost every day of my life.
Fun.
Yeah,
and I mean, it's just unbelievable. So I mean, I could go on all night about this, but I'm not going to. The bottom line is this: is that it was a law that was manufactured. There's two schools of thought here. If you really analyze it deep, and I'm not going to go into sources and all that stuff because we don't have time. But the bottom line is this: if you really look at the major players here, the proponents of this law are politicians who think they're going to get a tax windfall out of Uber and Lyft, which they won't because Uber and Lyft doesn't actually make profit on paper. They actually lose money consistently and said that they would do so for 10 years. It's a very Brett Maverick move. I will lose for exactly 1 hour. Yeah. So you can't get tax revenue out of a company that is losing money on paper. So that's number one. It doesn't close any loopholes. And number two, it supports a highly corrupt union that is making windfall cash profits off of a requirement that I question the legality of. And then the other group is the taxi cab companies themselves. So basically AB5 became a feeble attempt at some kind of additional corporate welfare, which is a strange stance for California to take, but okay. Weird flex, but here we are. And then they claim it was for all these workers. Meanwhile, the LA Times is like, well, we're going to have to let go of all of our bloggers. So, single fathers and single mothers who are writing for us and, helping supplement your income so you can feed your kids. Fuck off. We don't need you.
Yeah.
They did over 100 carve-outs for AB5 for all of these different industries. Like another one that's near and dear to my heart. Independent illustrators, painters, house builders, people who hire employees on a temporary basis were basically, the way the law was structured, shit out of luck. So Prop 22, in a way, corrects this, at least for the 500,000 gig economy workers in California who desperately need that work, lest they go homeless. Because what we really need is more homeless people in Los Angeles.
No, that's not what we need. Or in San Francisco.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's not forget.
It's like wall to wall bodies there. It's like that episode of Star Trek, Mark of Gideon, where they got, people in shrouds just walking around outside bumping into each other because there's no room for any more people.
Yeah.
Entire shanty villages under bridges. I mean, is this really the America we want?
No.
Or do you want to find some way to put people back to work?
Yeah, or at least give them some place to live.
And my last thought on this particular subject is this. This whole thing started because of because of an age-old industry trying to protect its profits by manipulating archaic laws regarding labor. The labor laws of the United States and the labor laws of most states are structured as such that they favor putting everybody in the factories and, doing menial tasks for quote unquote fair wages. But the thing is, that ship has sailed.
Yeah, we're well beyond that point.
And I know we don't want to get stuck in here praising Silicon Valley too hard. However, if this show ever does turn a profit, then we must be grateful to the bounty of the gods of Silicon Valley.
Or specifically the gods of the alphabet.
Right. So the bottom line is this, is that it is fear of change and innovation and trying to keep us mired in a system that does not favor the speed at which life and technology moves in the 21st century.
Mm-hmm.
And they were trying to do that, in order to protect profits of an industry that does not necessarily deserve to live. It's like, don't vilify Silicon Valley because they're actually trying to move forward just because they got billions upon billions of dollars, if not trillions of dollars in their coffers. I don't know. I don't want to get into a debate about the efficacy of the billionaire class or anything like that. But let's just say that I have some disagreements with the hard left on that.
So not quite eat the rich.
Well, because if my film company ends up taking off someday, I could be a billionaire.
Right.
So we eat you.
Or at least
Got
a
it.
multi-millionaire.
I think for me, it's like basically most like eat the rich in some places, and other places it's a necessary evil. It just depends.
Yeah, in some places the rich have a little too much gristle.
Right. It's like some of them are bad, but it's like some
others
of them
are overseas.
Right.
Exactly. Turn this into a food metaphor,
man,
and I'm going to get hungry.
Look, man, to make almost any kind of meat taste good, you just got to cook it right.
I mean, that's kind of the idea behind barbecue. I'm not joking. Barbecue was once the domain of poor people, slaves especially, and they were given the real shit cuts of meat. So they were
50% bone and 20% gristle, and then the rest is meat.
Yeah,
or meat substitute.
They adapted techniques to make that stuff tender.
Yep.
No. Anyway, jeez.
I'm glad we kind of went in this little cleansing tangent here.
Yeah, because it's it's coming up on the end. It'll be over tomorrow or Friday, and it's like let's just start the process of talking about other things finally.
Because there may actually be days where not, oh my god, what is this moron doing?
Yeah, it's basically it's like how much longer do we focus on the returns before we lose our complete minds?
Yeah, I mean, it's just how long. It's like, look, I'm on a timetable here, so if you could just tell me when we can pack up our comrade and ship him back to Russia.
Send him to the Black Sea.
Yeah, and if we could send some of the deplorables along with him, that would be great.
Yeah, pretty much.
I actually saw some tweet where some lady was like, If Biden wins, I'm leaving the country and going to Hawaii.
I think that's a meme.
You do realize going to Hawaii? Hawaii is a blue state. What are you doing?
It's the blue state.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, it is.
They actually refer to the Republicans in Hawaii, what few of them there are, refer to the state as the Blue Mafia.
There you go. There you go.
They're like, they're so corrupt and they got a stranglehold on everything, and I don't understand why. I mean, they're bleeding Hawaii dry. It's like, no, I believe federal policy is actually bleeding Hawaii dry, but that's okay. Dry. But that's okay. I mean, if you want to continue to believe that it's not because your ideas suck, and only because of Democrats, then by all means believe that.
Yeah. If you want to keep believing that your ideas don't even work on paper, then yeah, go ahead.
It's like, keep in mind that the state actually has no real power to negotiate, say, for example, trade and federal taxation with the mainland. They structured statehood such that they really don't have the ability to negotiate. For example, like for whatever reason, they have these weird agreements in place that basically state that they can only get certain things directly out of Los Angeles because that's the only port that will go directly to Hawaii. Maybe something with San Francisco or whatever. And those are already expensive places. So there's not a lot of grazing land on Hawaii. So they can't have their own cows, and they can't have, locally sourced milk and dairy products, for example. I guess. I don't know. They don't want to.
Also, a lot of them are. There's a lot of Pacific Islander ethnicity people in Hawaii, and I think that is one of the ethnicities that tends highly towards lactose intolerance. Anyway.
Well, I was going over the cost.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's like I guess a lot of this stuff cannot be locally sourced, because of the fact that they are an island.
A volcanic island, yes.
Yeah. With not that much arable land. And so as a result, everything has to come from the mainland. And so they have these kind of strangleholds on these agreements. So if you want a gallon of milk in Hawaii, it's like $6 to $10.
Yeah, one of my friends moved to Hawaii, and some stuff is ludicrously expensive there.
But that has nothing to do with which party is in control of the state.
Right, that's a matter of, oh, hey, stuff has to be shipped. Shipping is expensive.
Yep, and everything has to be flown, because if you tried to sail milk over there...
It'd curdle.
Well, you could get an oil tanker that's entirely fucking a refrigerator, but that's a bad idea, too.
That would not be fresh. And to be honest,
no.
Have you looked at the freshness dating on milk?
Yeah, it's not long. It's a week or two tops.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hawaii's farther out than a lot of people think.
And that's just one example. Again, grain, corn, stuff like that. The number one agricultural export of Hawaii is things like sugar.
Yeah, you can grow some things in Hawaii. There is, like, the arable land they have is great. It's just not suited to widespread crops like grain and shit. You get a lot of fruits, and I think they can do sugarcane, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's like, there's only so much between climate and arable land and all of that. There's just only so much they can do on the island. I'm sure people could have individual community gardens that are small because it's easier to control things in a backyard situation. But yeah, without going too far off the point, that's where they are. Anybody else want to say something so we can move off of Hawaii?
Something.
Well, wherever y'all want to go.
Go ahead.
Move forward, upwards.
Dig up,
stupid. Twirling towards
forward
freedom.
5 spaces. Do not pass go.
I mean, now, I think we've covered the breadth and scope of what's going on right now.
We're just waiting for the chickens to be done getting counted.
Is anybody gonna change the graphic?
Do what?
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely other stuff that was. I suppose in progressive news, they had a pretty good night in terms of law enforcement. Like Orlando just elected a progressive district attorney. I know. Let's see, Harris County, Texas, has just elected a black county attorney. Now there's a few more like this, sheriffs and whatnot. And why this is important because I know the all cops are bastards crowd is going to still go all cops are bastards, but okay. So
but
when
some
you get
cops are more bastard than others.
Yeah, it's because these cops are looking to help end mass incarceration from a position of actual power. See, this is one of my big problems with the hard left. They just want to fucking shout and moan, apparently, about a thing that exists in conception. Never mind, if you have power to do things about it, you can use that power to, maybe not end, but you can ease at the least. You will have things like local constabularies not working with ICE, or prosecuting minor drug offenses. This shit matters. And that's why that's why getting people who don't believe in that in these positions is so important. More important about moaning about fucking defunding the police or whatever, or fucking abolishing the police.
Yeah,
it's like
and even people's conception of the term defund the police is misleading because once again, it's a phrase coined by scaremongers, and what they really mean by defunding the police is getting Homeland Security out of the equation.
Well, it's also
no, it's not. It's not just that. It's also like it's defund in the sense of do not give them as much money, or in some people would say no money at all. But they're not saying don't just make that money disappear. They're saying reallocate it to
training
social work and stuff, so that
mental health.
When someone has a mental health problem, they don't call the police; they call mental health people, and the mental health, or the police forward it to the mental health people, and then they send those people who don't have guns.
Because once again, this is why I have a problem with the hard left. That they screech about a thing that's not going to fucking happen. We are not getting rid of the police as a concept.
No.
You need to accept that as a fact. And no, Biden, no politician is going to jump on the, support to defund the police bandwagon, because then they get hit by the Republicans as being anti-cop.
Though it is kind of annoying that apparently by some court decision the police don't actually necessarily have to actually serve and protect or whatever the fuck that was. But
there's definitely police reform to be done, and all that stuff. Plus, having that at the federal level isn't really all that helpful because most of the problems are state and local. I'm just saying that a politician is not going to really support defund the police. Or if they do, they are certainly not going to support violence against the police or, violent destruction of property. The fact that, once again, the Twitter leftists can't figure this shit out is kind of amazing because, they want to continue to be politicians. This isn't, this isn't stuff that plays well.
For those of you leftists who are tuning into this podcast, expecting it to be more left wing.
Well, we're more left of center. Let's just say.
Yeah, it's
that's better.
It's where I have a problem with people who are asking for unrealistic things or have no idea to how to actually implement them. It's like, the motherfuckers who want to drag communism back from its grave. Okay, how? Literally, how are you going to do that? you don't. That's the thing. You don't have any pragmatism to you, and I'm big on that because otherwise you're just fucking moaning in a corner.
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps this is probably where we should close for the night.
Yeah.
I mean, we're only 45 minutes in, but sure.
It's been an intense 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not wrong.
That's 45 hours. What are you talking about?
But the watch hours, we
All right. I'm not watching the time.
Let's talk about entertainment.
All right.
I am entertained.
The show is that we would spend the last quarter of the hour talking about entertainment.
I suppose
to help us unwind.
I'm like, well, I suppose in entertainment news, one thing that was announced during Election Day is the dub cast for Yashahime has been announced.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they got back. I think the important Inuyasha actors for their roles.
They got Kirby Morrow. What's your name? It's Songo.
I also know like 2/3 of the people who are actually in the new roles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I suppose
they got Richard Ian Cox back. They got the voice actress who does Kagome since TFA because the original voice actress apparently retired.
Mm-hmm.
They got Kirby Morrow's Moroku back. I forgot what it's. I think it's Kathy Sheridan's her name. Who plays Songo. They got the voice of Shippo back, and they got new voice actresses from LA. Ironically enough, obviously, for our main cast, including Erica Mendez as the lead role, which
lead role?
Toa.
Okay.
Toa.
Yeah, the butch one.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I think once you saw Toa and you thought to yourself, what I think would voice her? Yeah, it's Erica.
Mm-hmm.
But it's good that they got the Inuyasha cast back as much as possible.
Yes.
I mean, say what you will about the dub quality of Inuyasha, there are some weird things, but the dub cast was very iconic.
I mean,
and
that
it
was
would feel really weird to have anyone else in most of those roles.
Kind of like with Digimon.
That would have been a riot.
Yeah, clearly Viz thought that way as well because, they actually expended the effort to get that cast back. And, they don't really do Canadian dubs anymore.
Yeah.
Not for a long time. But
right.
I would be especially impressed if they get Miyoga's voice back.
I would expect
because
that.
He just showed up. Yeah.
He just showed up in this week's episode.
Mm-hmm.
But, so it is good that occurred.
Yeah. It is going to be a trip to hear David K as Shishomaru again, considering that he hasn't since the first series.
I'm so glad for that.
Yeah.
The other guy did not fit.
Oh God!
And Shishomaru, when he appears, it will certainly be important since he's the dad of like 2/3 of the new main characters.
Yes.
I wish.
And it turns out that it really does feel like the worst case is the worst case, and the mother is we think it is.
I mean, I don't think there were any other candidates aside from maybe. Okay, I'll rephrase that. I don't think there are any other rational candidates that would have resulted in half demon children.
Yes.
It was pretty much either he's gonna marry some human lady, or either he's gonna marry some demon lady. Or there's one human that he has non-negative interactions with.
Yeah. Pretty much. But
which, kind of grooming, but it's the feudal era, I guess.
Well,
yeah.
Well, Inuyasha and Kagome's relationship kind of has the same problem along age borders, but because he's like technically hundreds of years old, and
but he was never like mature. He's still scanned as a teenager.
Right. I know.
Shomaru was actually an adult.
Yeah, like it's fucking grooming. Like, and this is why people were having such a problem with it.
Yeah,
like, it's gonna be interesting to see how they address that, because they're going to have to address it. But right now, they're running a whole amnesia arc, I guess. Yeah. I'm like, I don't know. It's like right now they're kind of like they're kind of doing a retread of the Shikon Jewel with these rainbow pearls. Like,
well, I mean,
it's not really a retread. It's not really a retread of the Shikon Jewel until it takes 200 episodes.
Fuck you.
And those things actually break into a million different pieces.
Yeah.
I mean,
until those things break into a million different pieces, then I don't think it's.
And then when you glue them together, they break again because fuck you.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, and this show isn't above having fan service because Madam Centipede showed back up. You know?
Yeah.
Madam Centipede doesn't ring a bell. She's probably from after I stopped.
That was the first monster ever.
Oh, literally the one who lived in the well.
Yes, and she showed back up.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for Yura of the Hair to make an appearance.
See, she always seemed like kind of an interesting character. I mean, even design aside, there are a lot of demon characters in Inuyasha that were kind of interesting, but definitely got very fucking killed.
Oh, yeah. That was kind of the standard protocol until Naraku just showed up and never went away.
Indeed.
I killed him like 3 times. It's just that, it didn't really take.
Yeah, well, because it was, some incarnation or, it wasn't really him. It was a Doombot. Same energy. Like, just still the Yashahime series is good and well enough. I mean, it's not my highlight of the anime season. I guess in terms of shonen, that'd be Jujutsu Kaisen. Like, not anything particularly innovative. It's just really solid stuff. And I'll say it right now, it's a far sight better than Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba. Like, granted, it's not quite on the production value levels, but, nobody really is on Ufotable's plane. But Mappa does good work on their own. Like, it's just a concern of how long that will last, given Mappa series. And not to mention that they are doing 2 series this season. The other one being Taizo Samurai, which is interesting. It's about Olympic gymnastics with a ninja in it.
Sounds about
trust
right.
It's not the only anime this series that's sort of grounded, but otherwise throws in a manic pixie alien for reason.
Ah, yes, reasons.
I'd make a Fooly Cooly joke, except that there was way more fucking weird there than the alien.
Well, yeah,
the alien was the tame part in Fooly Cooly.
Oh no, she's really fucking insane. It's just also there are like robots and a giant fucking iron.
Right. I'm talking about Adachi to Yashahime, or that's the Yuri title of the season. Like,
isn't there a mountain climbing series this year?
Yeah.
Well, climbing as a sport.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Wall climbing.
Rock climbing, and by rock we mean wall.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that series. I'm talking about an actual Yuri romance series.
Oh yeah.
Though I suppose the real highlight of the season has been Akudama Drive. It's from the guy who did Danganronpa.
The game or the anime?
The game. Like, he did the character design, and it's from Tokyo Games as well, who are really good on mysteries. Like, I don't know, it's just a really stylish, stupid, but really stylish action series. Toonami would do well to pick this one up, if I'm being honest. I guess speaking of Toonami, so we got some new shows coming in.
Quote unquote new quote unquote shows.
Well, that's certainly what is it? The 2:00 show.
Uh-huh.
The Machu Picchu.
Or whatever that is, yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, God, that really does look terrible. Like, I mean, it's like they're throwing that there because they need to give some space to Black Clover because the dub caught up, and Funimation just needs some time, so they're running this for 7 weeks. COVID has really racked Toonami this season.
And it doesn't help that Adult Swim needs to put resources into finding someone to replace it. Family Guy.
Oh, yeah, right. I suppose this really needs to be mentioned. Apparently, Sony is in the final negotiations of purchasing Crunchyroll for about just a bit shy of $1 billion.
So Funimation and Crunchyroll will be together again.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yay, that means they'll actually have some fucking anime on the Crunchyroll site.
Yeah. I mean, it's been kind of rough with the Funny Roll split. I suppose that instead of 2 terrible apps, we'll have just the 1 terrible app.
Never. I do have some entertainment news when you're done with your thought, though.
Yeah, but yeah. I suppose there is a concern here because, Sony, they already own Funimation, and they own Aniplex. And with Crunchyroll, this is going to give them a really dominant...
That's pretty solid vertical integration on the anime.
Like, there are monopolistic concerns here, I suppose. But, with anime being such a niche thing, I'm not sure if anyone would really bother. And yes, there are other players in this particular game. The biggest one still being Netflix. And it's not just that they pick up anime and hold it hostage.
They make it.
Yes, they do.
Still weird.
And you've still got Viz. Not like there may be a bigger manga player than an anime player, but they still have like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Megalobox, One Punch Man, Sentai Filmworks, and H-Dive and High Dive.
High Dive is with Crunchyroll now.
No,
I don't know.
No.
I don't know if it's just a temporary partnership.
High Dive is its own thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
High Dive they cater to adult anime.
Yeah.
Oh.
High Dive is aligned with Verve, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's probably what I'm thinking.
That sounds right.
That's probably where you're getting confused there.
Yeah.
But there are still players in this game, but Sony will have a pretty huge lock on a lot of the anime distribution should they purchase Crunchyroll. Mind you, this isn't final. And it's potentially going to complicate things at Warner Brothers, or because Crunchyroll has been part of their HBO Max initiative. Adult Swim's been doing a lot of co-productions with them, among other things. Apparently, it's not going to be an issue with sort of licensing. Granted, like the only thing that they've gotten from Crunchyroll is Mob Psycho 100 Season 1, but
Isn't season 2 dubbed and like literally they just need to air it?
Apparently there's some rights issues behind that. Look, Japanese properties have all sorts of rights issues because it's not just, say, one entity marketing this. A lot of anime is done by the committee system, and each committee member has a percentile of that property. And that's not even getting into adapted works, which also have manga creators attached to them.
Right.
It's apparently a big headache to deal with anime licensing because of
Speaking of original creators.
Yes.
That felt like a good segue moment right there.
Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So, speaking of original anime type creations, there is Starship Moonhawk news. More specifically, Starship Moonhawk Universe. In that, since our last show didn't get recorded, I can make this announcement. We released the first segment of the new film Survivor, starring Elsie Lovelock and Skylar Davenport, and with music by David Stahl, who's kind of a big deal we've come to discover. And because he did music preparation for a lot of big movies like Lego Star Wars Episode 7, and a few other things. He didn't work directly with John Williams, but he definitely contributed to all of these productions in a meaningful way. And boy, does it show, because I don't know how many of you actually watched the clip that I sent up to YouTube, but the music just blew me and Kira away.
Well, as I said to you when you showed it to me, it's really professional.
Mm-hmm. Our artist from Brazil, Oshigan, who's been working with me since 2015, he's submitted some black and white frames to me that for approval, and I'm quite impressed with where we're going with this. But the biggest news is that we're just going to roll straight logically into the next film, The Candidate, which will actually be the pilot for Cosmic Feline. And to that end, I'm having David do a little crossover work between the two projects, developing the opening theme for Cosmic Feline as Malaya's theme in the movie that we're currently working on. And we actually are working right now between some of the stuff that I've done in After Effects and the actual hand animation that Kira's doing in OpenTunes. We've begun making the opening credits sequence. And the theme is Buck Rogers meets Army of Darkness. So we're going to kind of go for a comedy sci-fi horror. Kira says Evil Dead, but I don't know. Army of Darkness was funnier. Evil Dead 2 was pretty funny, but but that wasn't the goal of that necessarily. The Evil Dead was a genuine horror film and not terribly funny. I've seen it a couple of times, but yeah. So that's kind of the direction we're going to be going with this. Is that we're going to have the suspensive event horizon, the swashbuckling adventure of Buck Rogers, and the comedy horror elements of Sam Raimi is kind of our thing. And we've actually started making the opening credits sequence with full animations. Like, in order to construct this opening credit sequence, it's actually a direct homage to the 1979 Buck Rogers opening credit sequence. complete with time rings and animated heads. And a 3D starship that is going to zip across the screen in a couple of places. But we have to actually make the ship model, as well as hand-drawn animations of the characters doing various things in their rings. So it's pretty amazing. So we actually currently have it set to the original Buck Rogers theme. And I did a voiceover for it that basically gave a recap, so that way people who haven't bothered to read and or look up Starship Moonhawk so far can jump right into this series and not give a shit. and it was like a cross between Ted Knight doing the narration for Super Friends and 1930s radio serials. Like, think of the radio announcer from Legend of Korra.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the vibe.
I actually
that
thought
pulled
that
off.
was a really nice touch in Legend of Korra. It helps at it's that kind of that it gives you a really good idea of like that's it's like the equivalent of the 20s now.
Right. And so that was the feel I was trying to go for. Kira and I both did several passes. She did too. I did too. And I'm just like, I hate all of this. And I was like, wait, let me try this. And we were like, that sounds pretty good. And then I got up and recorded it. Took 3 takes because Pixie was running across the room and Doodles was staring at me. But that's our cats, for those who are just tuning in for the first time. But yeah, I literally got halfway through the read and Doodles was sitting on the laser printer just staring at me. Transfixed. And I was like, through the take like that, and I threw the script on the ground. But yeah, it was pretty epic. So far, it's shaping up pretty well. We still have 6 more animations to make, as well as the 3D ship. 7 more animations to make, and the 3D ship, and then this thing will be done. So we're hoping to have it in the next week and a half. So it's very exciting stuff. We're gonna have a new trailer. As I said, footage pieces are finally starting to roll in for Survivor, so everything's moving at pace. All right. Well, I think that sums it up for the week. So, barring any hissy fits, banning any First Amendment level commentary in the next week or so.
Yeah. That.
Don't give him ideas.
Yeah.
Oh, she just asked me if Biden won, and I said almost.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the show for this week, folks. Be sure to like and subscribe. Tune in next week. I'm MacPaladin on behalf of the crew at Last Newsdesk on the left. We'll see you next time. And hopefully we'll make sure we record next week's show as well as this.